Hey you, have you heard the latest news about the live-action adaptation of How to Train Your Dragon? Well, the main cast has finally been revealed, and let me tell you, the internet is split between fire and ice. Today, we're diving into the controversial actor choices, the early waves of hate, and some curious changes the production has made. And don't forget to hit the bell, because here we dive deep into the drama and behind the scenes of the cinematic world. To start, let's talk about Mason Thames being cast as Hiccup. Remember him from The Black Phone? He nailed that horror movie and proved he's got talent in spades. Now comes the name sparking the most conversation, Nico Parker as Astrid. Yes, the same Nico who's shown as Sarah in the series The Last of Us. Nico is of mixed heritage with light skin and a unique beauty, but she doesn't look like the animated Astrid, who is blonde, blue-eyed, and clearly inspired by Nordic stereotypes. And this is where the circus catches fire. More traditional fans are already throwing spears at the choice, saying she's not faithful to the character. And there's more. The twins Roughnut and Toughnut will have red hair, yes red, in the live action, and surprise, they're not even real twins. The production explained that the humor of the movie will play on the fact that everyone thinks they're identical, but in reality, they're very different. A clever twist that could lead to some good laughs. The live-action production was aware that changes to the characters would stir up buzz, and maybe even counted on it to build hype for the film. Regarding the controversies, the filmmakers have assured that every casting choice was based on the actor's talent and not an attempt to create free publicity through drama. Then there's the detail that caught attention, about the twins Roughnut and Toughnut. The production revealed they won't actually be twins in the live action. Yes, you read that right. In this adaptation, their comedic dynamic will be reinforced by a very different idea. Despite thinking they themselves are identical, they will actually be quite distinct. This touch of creativity could lead to great jokes, especially if their individual quirks are used as fuel for hilarious situations. Oh, and there's more. Their hair will be red. This change is already dividing opinions, with some fans curious to see how it will work on screen. Now back to Nico Parker as Astrid. Many fans were expecting an actress who would replicate the animated Astrid, blonde, blue-eyed, with that typical Nordic character vibe. However, the production decided to bet on Nico's charisma and talent, who has already proven herself as a promising actress in intense roles like Sarah in The Last of Us. The filmmakers emphasized that this reinterpretation doesn't diminish Astrid's strength as a character. They want her to bring something new while maintaining the essence of the brave, confident warrior who won over fans. And for those concerned about historical fidelity, they reminded everyone that the real Viking history isn't as narrow as many might think. Here's a point worth highlighting. When we think of Vikings, what comes to mind? Blonde-haired, light-skinned, blue-eyed warriors, right? That's because culturally, this image has been reinforced by films, series, and books over decades. But recent studies are challenging this view. Researchers from the University of Copenhagen analyzed the genomes of over 400 people who lived during and after the Viking Age. And guess what? Many of them had genetic traits from other regions, such as Southern Europe and even Asia. In other words, while most Vikings were light-skinned, there were mixed-race individuals among them. This means Nico Parker's casting as Astrid may not be as out of context as it seems. Sure, we're talking about a fantasy adaptation, but it's interesting to see how the real world is more diverse than we imagined. Still, purist fans continue to argue that at least visually, the Astrid in the movie should look like the animated version. And you can't deny, when something we love gets adapted, we always hope to see something on screen that looks straight out of the cartoon. This expectation is natural. And now we reach the most sensitive part, the hate Nico Parker has been receiving since the announcement. The criticisms go far beyond disagreements about casting and descend into alarmingly personal attacks. Aggressive comments, attacks on her appearance, and even on her ability to play the character are flooding social media. And here, we need to pause for reflection. Liking or disliking a casting choice is normal, but turning that into a direct attack on the person behind the role is completely unnecessary. And this isn't exclusive to Nico. Halle Bailey, who played Ariel in the live-action The Little Mermaid, faced the same kind of hate. The actress who played Ellie in The Last of Us series also faced criticism. And guess what? The pattern is always the same. The character's visual doesn't meet expectations, and the criticisms spiral into prejudice. And it doesn't stop there. Even Mason Thames, chosen as Hiccup, is getting his share of negative comments, despite being a talented actor who has already proven his worth in other roles. For many fans, the issue lies in the fact that the Viking universe is deeply associated with a pure and traditional aesthetic. The production also hasn't escaped another criticism that's circulating, that these changes are part of a calculated strategy to generate controversy and attract more attention to the film. After all, we know that bad press is still press, right? But is that really the case? Some believe that including more diversity in live-action casts is an important step toward representation, while others see it as a forced move, made to please a specific audience or increase commercial reach. And there are also those who would prefer to see new black or mixed-race characters being created rather than transforming existing ones. The question that lingers is, are these changes being made to genuinely include more people, or is it just another marketing stunt? Despite the controversies, one thing is certain. The live-action adaptation of How to Train Your Dragon is already garnering a lot of attention, whether it's for the cast, the changes, or the discussions about representation. And while it's impossible to please everyone, what really matters in the end is whether the movie captures the hearts of fans. Nico Parker has a huge challenge ahead of her, but with the talent she's already shown, she might surprise us, just like Mason Thames and the rest of the cast. The important thing is that the story we all love is treated with the respect and depth it deserves. When it comes to live-action adaptations, one thing is certain. The challenge is enormous. Bringing beloved characters and stories into the real world means dealing with the expectations of fans who grew up with the original animation. And here comes the question. To what extent should a live action remain faithful to the original work? The answer isn't so simple. On one hand, fans expect to see those iconic scenes that left a mark on them, the characters exactly as they remember, and that nostalgic feeling that only a well-made adaptation can provide. On the other hand, a live action also needs to justify itself as something new, a reimagination that brings freshness and relevance to the story. After all, if it's just a copy and paste, then why not just rewatch the animation? And that's exactly the issue with the teaser for How to Train Your Dragon. The aesthetics are stunning, the landscapes are breathtaking, the dragons look impressive, and the soundtrack already stirs up that sweet nostalgia. But at the same time, the preview gives off a sense of déjà vu. It feels like we're watching the same story, scene by scene, just with live actors. This approach might work for someone who's never seen the animation before, but for longtime fans, it might seem like there's a lack of boldness. Where's that touch of novelty, that feeling of rediscovery that makes a live action worthwhile? The truth is, a good live action doesn't need to follow every frame of the animation to the letter, but it does need to honor the essence of the original work. It must respect the heart of the story, the values that won over the fans, while finding creative ways to explore the universe we already know. It's a difficult balance to achieve, but when it happens, like in The Lion King or Cinderella, the result can be magical. For now, the teaser for How to Train Your Dragon shows that the movie is on the right track visually, but still leaves the question hanging. Will it bring something new enough to justify its existence? Or will we leave the cinema thinking that, although beautiful, it lacks soul? The answer will only come in 2025. But until then, we keep our hopes and debates alive. And you, what do you think of all this? Are you on the side of curiosity or skepticism? Comment below, because this conversation is far from over. If you enjoyed the chat, leave a like to support us and help us keep bringing content full of details and controversies from the world of animation. Oh, and don't leave yet. Check out the video appearing on the screen. It's got more amazing stories and debates you can't miss. See you there?